Woohoo! We got it. Okay, everybody. Welcome to Half Past Dead Paranormal Radio. I'm sorry we're running a little late, but we had a little miscommunication, I think, and everything is all right now. um, I am your host, Roger Belt, and my lovely partner in crime, Miss Christina Corsetti.
Hello, everybody.
And our guest tonight is Miss June Lundgren. I think I pronounced that right. Say hello for us.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Now, I want you to give us the rundown on uh, you're an animal communicator, a psychic medium, and it seems like there's something I'm forgetting. You do a paranormal investigation also, don't you?
Yes, I'm a member of the Northwest Paranormal
Awesome.
Investigative Team.
So, kind of give us a rundown on things.
I'm an international author. I have 4 books out, fifth one coming out the end of this month. And it's called, the first one's called A Medium's Guide to the Paranormal. And then there's Paranormal Encounters, which is my real-life paranormal encounters. And then there's Paranormal Encounters Book 2. And then there's the dark side of the paranormal.
Ooh.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. I am a psychic medium, been that way all my life. I'm an animal communicator, and I'm what people call in the old country in Ireland a demon seer. I remove demons. I can see them, I can talk to them, I remove them.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Demons?
Yeah, they kind of run when they see me coming. You know, it's like.
I was going to say, who would want to touch a demon? But
you know, there are people that have trouble, and you know, God said, you know, this is what you have to do, and so I do it.
That's awesome. Good for you.
yeah, it is, really is. So, at what age basically did you start doing this?
My grandmother raised me for the first 5 years, and she had gifts. All the women in our family is passed down, and so she, for the first 5 years, she taught me when I was little. She saw me talking to things that weren't there when I was a child, a little child, 2, 3 years old, and so she knew then that I had the gifts, and so she started to, you know, teach me how to tell the good ones from the bad ones, you know, who to talk to, who not to talk to. How, you know, and walk me through learning to communicate with animals, because I could already hear them. I didn't think that that was anything different than what anybody else could do.
I have a question. With the animal communicator, how do you hear them? Do you hear it in your mind's eye and understand what they're saying? How does that work?
It's kind of weird. Some people get pictures, some people get feelings, some people get like clips from a movie, that sort of thing, impressions, emotions. I get a full-on conversation.
Nice.
And when I first broach communication with them, they're startled and they're not sure, you know, because they've never communicated with a human before.
Correct.
And so it kind of throws them off for a couple minutes, and then once that part's over, then they're like, oh, okay, this is good. I have a list of complaints, you know.
Oh, wow. That'd be very interesting to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, I'd really like to be like Dr. Doolittle, you know.
You know, it depends upon the individual. I've had people say, well, in fact, I had a lady in Southern Oregon contact me, and she said, you know, I have an old cat, and he just lost his sibling, and I tried to get an animal communicator to talk with him, and he just wouldn't have nothing to do with her. It's all in how you approach the animal, and I didn't have any problems with him. They know when you love them. I love animals. I have a farm, and so it's like they open themselves right away. You know, it's really nice because their thought patterns are very simple, very simplistic. You know, black is black, white is white. You know, I want more beef. I want less grains.
That's another question actually I have is what do they have to say?
If I usually start out with how are they feeling. I ask them about if they're having any pain or any problems or difficulties, and if they tell me yes, then I can actually see into their physical body and
That's
pick it
amazing.
up.
That's amazing.
And then I tell the owner, what the problem is and how to fix it, and if they're acting up, like having behavioral problems, things like that. I can talk to them. Sometimes I'll go to a place and they'll want me to talk to one dog, and by the time I get through, I end up talking to all the dogs that are
Oh,
there, or all the cats, or whatever else they have
wow.
there, which doesn't bother me. It's like they're all the same. They like to talk once they get over the initial shock of being able to hear you and understand you.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, do these animals, they also see spirits, correct?
Oh yeah, they're closer to God. They don't have all the baggage we have. They can just see it like a child. They're open,
Very
and they
well.
can see. And you'll definitely know if there's a bad one by the way they behave. They don't want anything to do with it.
Well,
Good ones, they
that's
don't
like
care.
when an animal doesn't want to go into a certain room, or
Right.
like, don't want to go in the basement, or
There's
you
usually something negative
not good, they don't want
because, yeah, I have angels. Michael the Archangel's with me all the time, and I'm so used to him. I grew up with him. So they love him. I mean, they'll just like gather right towards where he's standing, and they just sit there and stare at him. They love anything positive.
Yes. Very
to. So
interesting.
when you, and I know this might sound a little off the wall here, but um, when you have a conversation with the archangel, what do you talk about?
A little bit of everything. He's got a wicked sense of humor, Michael does. He's about 7 feet tall. His wingspan's about 12 feet.
Wow.
And I was on the show called Paranormal Crossings. And the first episode that was shot, it never even happened. It's like it never was even there. He did 2 spots, 2 different guests in the same night. They did the other girl first and then mine, and they always back it up on Blu-ray and on the computer. And mine was like it never even happened. There was nothing anywhere. Blu-ray, computer, backup, nothing.
Wow, it didn't record.
Yeah, so I was like, I kept waiting and waiting because he kept telling me we're going to have it on local TV and stuff like that. And I'm like, finally, I text him and says, what's up? It's been like a month. And he said, I was afraid to call you because it's not there. And I just laughed. I said, I removed demons. I said, this is nothing. This always happens. Things like this always happen.
Wow.
It's not a problem. So then he had me come back and shoot it the next week. And I brought Michael with me. And, he said, well, can we see him on the ladder? I said, he's up on the ladder. And so I had Michael come over and stand behind us. And the host's wife was on there, and she says, oh, my God. She said, this cold air's been blowing on me all night. And she says, something passed between me and the cold air, and she says, I saw a huge wing. And then Michael went to stand behind Aaron, and Aaron said he felt Michael put his hand on his heart.
Wow.
And it felt like electricity, and he could see the reflection of Michael in the monitor that we were watching. And he says it was just the most bizarre thing. And then he told him, I told him, I said, you'll pick up something. Because he's asking me, are we going to pick up anything, on the film or on the audio? I said, yeah, you will. So he went home, and he couldn't stand it. About 2 o'clock in the morning, he started listening to the video on the Blu-ray, and about at like 35 or 77 or something like that. Anyway, you can hear when I was there was a demon that came in. Whenever Michael's with me, earthbound spirits, kind of congregate towards him so that they can cross. He helps them all cross. And I felt a demon come in, and I told Michael telepathically, I said, do you hear it? Do you feel it? He says, I feel it. And the stupid thing was so stupid because it came in, and Michael grabbed it with his wing and cast it down, and you could hear the demon scream.
Oh, wow. On the video?
on the video. Yeah.
Wow,
Wow.
that's amazing.
Yeah, if you watch it from time index 30 to 36, I think it is, you can hear the demon scream.
Do we have a link to this video? I'd like to watch it.
It's
Yeah,
on
I'd like to
YouTube.
see that myself.
YouTube Paranormal Crossings Episode 12.
Thank you.
Paranormal Crossing. Okay.
I'll write that down right here.
Yeah, I'm fixing to jot me a note.
Paranormal Crossing. What was it? Number 12?
Episode 12. Yeah.
Episode. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and it's on my website. I have, I do record when I remove demonics, and there's a couple episodes on there. There's a couple of recordings on there of they just love to scream when I take them out. So
I hope everybody in the chat room brought a notebook, because this is interesting stuff.
People in chat want to watch it after the show. They're like me. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait. I want to see that.
And my website is mysticconnections, all one word.org. And if you go to the TV, media tab, there are some recordings there.
Mystic what now?
Mystic Connections.
Mysticconnections.org.
I
O-R-G.
Christina trampled over you a little bit.
Mysticconnections.org.
Mary,
O-R-G.
go find that and throw it in the chat room. I'd appreciate it.
I'm doing that now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it won't let me. It won't let me put. Here I have to. It won't let me put websites on the chat. I have to do it a different way.
Well. Mystic Connections, okay. .org.
Yeah, if I do it one word, it doesn't send it. It says that it cannot put web addresses on there. So I got it taken care of. I got both of them down on chat. That's very interesting, June.
Yeah, it's just something, I was about 25 years ago, I was given the gift of the laying on of hands. And it's something that God says, I want you to do this. This is something you need to do. And so at the same time, He increased my abilities to see and hear the other side.
Wow.
Even more than I already did. And I thought, well, He said, you're going to hear the good with the bad. It's going to get worse. And I'm like, okay. But I don't mind, because I kind of filter them out. I don't want to hear them. I'm not going to hear them.
So you can shut that off and turn it on when you want?
Yeah. As a nurse, I've learned, over 40 years of being a nurse, it's like, I don't want to, when I'm working, everything has to be shut down. I can't be, doing this.
Now, I got to ask this question, because I have heard of other nurses who are also mediums and everything like that. So when you're working in a hospital, I'm sure that, because there's a lot of deaths that happen in hospitals.
Yep.
So when you're in a hospital and you're doing your normal routine, do the spirits not pester you all the time?
They do. They know what I am. But I have to tell them, you have to wait till I get off, and if you'll wait till I get off,
right,
I'll talk to you and help you. And so most of the time, 99% of the time, there's no problem with that. They're just desperate to get help. Or if I happen to be working with a person who's dying,
yeah,
and their spirit leaves the body, I will, tell them where to go. Tell them to head towards.
I was just thinking that, with all the deaths in there, that you would have like multitudes crowding you, like, help me, help me, help me.
Well, you would think that they know.
Yeah, they know, and they have respect. Even though you shut it down, it doesn't make no difference to them. They can hear it. They can feel it.
So they must be drawn to you because you can see them.
Yeah, they are. It's like a beacon in the darkness.
Wow.
They just come towards you. And that's why it's kind of funny, because when I communicate with the other side, it's all done telepathically. And I had some friends of mine, I went down to Heritage Junction. It's one of the most haunted sites in California. And I had the editor that I work with and his wife, and he's a audio video editor. and he says, can you talk out loud so we can hear what's going on? And it's like, it's odd for me. It feels awkward for me to do that because I'm so used to doing it telepathically. But it's like I told him, I said, I'll give you the gist of the conversation. I said, I'm not going to give you every single word. But, it's kind of awkward for me to talk when I'm talking to them. It's like I'm holding two separate conversations.
Yeah.
One with my mouth and one with my head. But they've come to me since I was a child, so I've never been afraid of them. I guess that's because my grandmother was was such a good person at mentoring me.
That's awesome. Do you have premonition dreaming?
Oh yeah, I have premonitions. I know when people are going to die, and I don't always want to know when people are going to die. But usually if I'm given a message for somebody, like I was working with a girl, and she said my aunt was just diagnosed with lung cancer, and she said, she's raised me. She says, she's a mother to me. I want to know if I should take off this week or next week to be with her. And I told her, I said, I have what they call the knowing. You just know.
You know everything.
And I told her, I said, you need to take it off this week because she's going to be dead before the end of the week.
Oh.
And she died that Sunday. Now, it's like another friend, I told her, I says, you need to tell your mom to make amends with her dad. So because he's going to die in the next 6 months. And you figure he's 88, he's going to die, But she never did, and she didn't listen. Almost 6 months later, he was hit by a car, crossing the road, drug 3 blocks, and died 3 days later in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay,
New York.
You're watching Half Past Dead Paranormal Radio. We are live on YouTube Live Events. I'm Roger Bell with Christina Corsetti and our guest, June Lundgren. And we shall proceed. Thank you.
I did have a question. What was that? I'll have to...
That's why sometimes I just don't call myself a demonologist because there's so many bad, connotations with that. I run into a few people that were not, shall we say, didn't do it, and they were just taking money from people and stuff.
Yeah.
And it just
so you have the knowing. You know basically everything that's going on around you at all times. You know everything between the other side and this side. And do you do readings at all?
I do, actually. I've been pretty busy doing them because I work full time.
Okay.
As a nurse, I usually have to do them on my days off, weekends, things like that. I can do them. I've done them over the phone for people from Australia to England to Scandinavia. So it's like if I get a picture, I make the connection.
Well, that's the thing. Is there's a couple things I'd like to know. Is there a way I can have a reading with you?
Send me a picture. Send me a picture.
I will do that because I really need some help. So I would definitely appreciate a little help.
And I'll do it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So a question and a picture.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it. Thank you. Now you get me all excited. It's amazing. It's amazing. I think someone like you is fascinating. And I think, I just think it's amazing. And, you're given that gift for a reason. You know what I mean? And you use it to help people and help the other side. And I just, want to thank you for that.
It's a lot of, a lot of people talk about, negative removal, demonic removal. 9 times out of 10, 99.9% of the time, the people that you go to are really desperate and need the help. And, I tell people, I'm removing this because God gave me this gift, and so I freely give to you. I never, ever charge for anything like that because that's God's work.
Yes.
If I can get to the person, if it's a lesser demon, what I call a lesser demon, or a minion, I can do it from a distance. But if it's an old one, a more powerful one, I have to physically be there to remove it. And that's sometimes a problem when they're clear across the United States and they contact
Oh,
me.
absolutely.
You know.
I'm sorry, you guys. My sister called. I had to answer her and then get off the phone. But
Family's important.
I'm like, I'm in the middle of a show, so
Oh, jeez.
gotta love her. Anyway, I was still listening though, and we're getting some pretty interesting questions in the chat room actually, and of course Christina's got that nailed down over there, so I didn't have to worry about that. But um, have you ever, I don't know how to put this, have you ever used animals as part of any of your investigations? Because animals are really sensitive.
No, I find that, most of the animals don't want nothing to do with it in the first place. They don't want to even be anywhere near them. I mean, at one time I had 8 dogs, and I put a protection in place for my farm. I have 3 acres, and I don't have any problems anymore. But when we first moved out here, we had an issue with one of them, with one of the, shall we say, ones that pass through.
Okay.
When I started removing demons, God says, I need you to I'm going to give you a recipe for black salt. He says, this is unlike anything anyone's ever made before. And whenever I make it, all the ingredients that are in it are soaked in holy water and left in the sun to dry naturally. And it's each section of the preparation, God blesses it so that it becomes stronger and stronger. I had to go to the Shanghai tunnels and remove 3 demons.
Oh, wow.
And I told my crew, I said, listen, I'm going to put the black salt down. Everybody needs to stay within it, and you'll be protected. He said, if you step out, I can't protect you. I can't be removing these guys and dealing with you guys at the same time. So when the things came out, the one guy that was with our group, he dropped the camera. He was scared the living tar out of him.
Wow.
And I was like, I vaguely hear it in the background, but I don't really pay attention. But if it protects for 3 demons, it'll protect anything. It'll protect from anything. And I have a lot of people order it on my website for that particular reason.
I definitely want to check out that website.
But I I've had people ask me to mentor them and things like that, and that's fine. But I had somebody not too long ago want me to tell them, help them learn how to remove demons. And I said, it's not something you learn. You either have the abilities or you don't. You can't it's not like you can read a book or something and learn how to do it. It's just not that way. You have to have absolutely no doubt about your abilities or your faith in God. None whatsoever. Because if you have any doubts, they're going to find it.
They were probably thinking, you teach them to be a demonologist or whatever.
Yeah, I don't like that word. It's got negative connotations. My grandma calls it, what they did in Ireland, they called it a demon seer. So that's what I go by.
Well, off the top of your head, how many would you say you have removed?
50, 60, something like that. I was going through a time when there was, back in 2013, when I was like every other week. Every other week there was something. But
Now
the
they were
thing is,
demons.
people call me and they say, there's, I've got a demon here. I'm like, really? Are you sure it's a demon?
Right.
Demons should be very rare,
It could
right?
just be an annoying earthbound negative.
Well, that's what I mean.
Because they
You
can
said 60 demons, right? Yeah, so we're talking demons now? Wow. I thought they were really rare.
Yeah, I did.
Unfortunately, God told me in 2013 that there was going to be an increase in the light spreading through the world. So therefore, the darkness is trying to push it back. And so you're going to see increased paranormal activity, mental health issues, depression, violence, and that's when those school shootings happen and stuff like that. And he told me, this is what's coming. I was traveling home one night. I worked till 7 o'clock at night, and it was dark. And I was driving down the road heading home, and all of a sudden I just hear these horrible screams, and it's like something out of a stupid movie, high-pitched screeches, almost like wings and stuff like that. And I talked to my guide, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And she's like, don't acknowledge it. She says, that's a group of demons. Don't acknowledge them. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm headed home. There's more than, it sounded like there was like a load full of them. But I wasn't about to deal with it on my way home. But she said, never ever acknowledge them until you're ready to do battle with them. Because if you do, it's on. And they'll just come after you. So you have to be prepared for it, spiritually prepared for it.
What about sleeping in the dark? Can I tell you a little story for a minute?
Sure.
My mother had an incident when she was in bed with my father a long, long time ago, and they slept in the dark. And she claims that she saw the devil at the foot of her bed. And she was paralyzed. She couldn't move. And my father must have coughed or rolled over, and it broke it, and he disappeared. Mm-hmm. She went to a priest the next morning, and the priest told her, that's because you slept in the dark. If you put a nightlight on and never sleep in the dark, anyone who sleeps in the dark will experience it once in their life. So ever since I've known the story, I sleep with lights, lights on, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to experience it. But the priest says everyone will experience it once if you sleep in the dark. Any truth to that? No?
No.
It was just an incident that happened?
I think he was trying to put the fear of God into her,
Because she said she saw the horns and everything. And
the one thing about demons is they look into your mind, and they see what your image is of the devil. And so they project that image into your mind, so that's what you see. Or it could have been an earthbound negative, and they can do the same thing. They can show themselves as a shadow person, when in actuality they were like 5 feet tall and bald and paunch. They can make you see them as they want to be perceived. You have to be able to get through that.
We have a question for you from Mary Strickland in chat. She wants to know, are you familiar with the phrase, the ones who have awakened are finding each other, and what is your take on that?
Yeah, that's the demons.
I don't think that's what you're talking about.
There are demons that do that, just as well as there are the light, the followers of light.
I think she's talking about people that are waking up, that are gaining gifts, so to speak.
Oh, she's talking about the enlightenment.
The ones who have awakened are finding each other.
Yeah, people that are. I'll give you an example. It's like nothing happens by coincidence.
The light work.
So the people that come to me or that contact me are ones that have the faith, that have absolute faith in God, and they also, are people that. I'm not just saying, Christians. I'm saying people that are enlightened. People that believe spiritual. They're very spiritual. They don't have to be quote unquote religious. The thing is, religion is a man-made thing. God didn't make it. I mean, we developed it to figure out, put a square in a square hole. We had to make sense of it, like. In Greek mythology, lightning bolts. There must be a god up there throwing them, and that's why we get lightning.
Yeah.
It's like this. There's a lot of people coming back to spirituality lately over the last 10, 12 years, which is a good thing. The light is, like God said, the light is spreading. People are understanding. People are wanting to understand. He told me to write the first book I ever wrote. He said, I want you to write a book He said, because people need to understand that I do hear them, but I give them what they need, which is not necessarily what they want. It's like they
Right.
say, you get the dog you need. So, you get the husband you need to teach you, to learn lessons. It's all about the experience. When we cross and then we come back, there's only certain things that are set in stone. The time we come in, the time we go out, the method in which we leave, and what we want to achieve during that time. Whether we want to be a ballerina, doctor, lawyer, whatever. People have said, well, what kind of idiot would want to die getting hit by a truck or getting hit by a train? I tell them,
You don't have that's not a choice.
it's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's you make that decision on the other side. Like, oh man, I've never died being hit by a train. I think I'll try it in this lifetime. That's basically how it is. You don't think about the people that get left behind. What kind of chaos will happen when you do die that way. And
so you choose that and the other side before you're born?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, you figure it out and you're saying, oh, this is what I want to do. Or if you don't want to come back, you don't have to. It's all about free will. If we decide, I'm sick and tired of it, I'm not coming back, then you don't come back.
Wow.
People on this side say, I'm through with it. I'm never coming back again. And I said, yes, you say that now. Wait till you get on the other side and then tell me that.
June, we have a couple of, they want to know what's the name of your books again in chat.
A Medium's Guide to the Paranormal. That can only be gotten on my website because it just got picked up by a publishing house. And The Dark Side of the Paranormal can also only be gotten on my website because it also was picked up by a publishing house.
Okay.
And then I have Paranormal Encounters, Book 1 and Book 2.
Thank you very much.
And I'm about to release a paranormal romance called Out of Time. O-U-T-T-A, time.
Okay, now I gotta ask this question. Why? And if it's a paranormal romance, then it's likely fiction.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Why would a person, and I gotta ask this, why would a person who deals with the real thing every day, has written books on the real thing every day, why would you want to do a fictional love story about the paranormal?
Well, it's not your normal quote unquote paranormal romance. It's not like girl falls in love with ghost turns into a real person, that sort of thing. This is something that's never been done before. This is a paranormal romance that is written from not only the hero and the heroine's point of view, but their guides and guardians and a ghost. So they're talking about it, and that's how it starts. It's got some comedy in it, and it's a light romance. None of that sort of torrid stuff.
Okay, I was just curious. Why would a person?
I started the book 5 or 6 years ago. Never did anything with it. And my girlfriend says, why don't you pull it out of mothballs and do something with it? So that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. I have my very own ghost collection books. I love reading books. I love the smell of books. I love going into the bookstore. So I definitely will put that and add that to my collection.
Yeah, I'm an avid reader. It's one thing my grandmother instilled in me: reading. I was always at the library.
At the risk of sounding odd, Christina,
What is?
I like the smell of old books.
I love the smell of books. I don't know why. I'll sit there. If I bend a page, I get mad. I don't know what it is with books, but I just love
I love
reading.
picking up an old book that's like really old and the smell of it, what it smells like. It smells like history.
They have their own particular smell.
Yeah.
And I have a book, Uncle Tom's Cabin. It's the first edition, and it's definitely got a different smell than the newer books that you would buy. But still, I love books. I love the physical book.
I do too.
I guess I'm old-fashioned.
Okay, Paul says he got it. He tried to post in chat and it won't let me. What are you trying to post?
Probably the website, but I just did that.
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Michelle says she got it. The website. He's trying to post the website. Okay.
Yeah, the website.
I think I can if I have it.
I have to do it that way, two separate. It's mysticconnections.org.
I put it up there earlier. Hold on. Y'all carry on for a minute. I'll be right back.
So, June, you have fascinated. I could talk to you all day. You know?
I just, I never thought of myself as different. So growing up, because, all the women in our family have the gifts. And my son is the last of our line. So he actually has gifts.
Nice.
He's empathic. He's an animal communicator. And he's starting to get, see the future.
That's amazing.
He doesn't really, he's going to be an animal vet, large animal vet. So
How old is he?
He's 26.
That's amazing.
So that will help him with the animal communication will help him. But it's like he doesn't want to be thought of as weird.
So tell us a little about this. Do we all have a spirit guide? We also have angels with us.
Yes, we all do. Some people, use spirit guide, guardian angel, inner.
They're assigned to you.
I got it up there.
Yeah. They have. Everybody has them. Everybody has at least one. I have 3 plus Michael, and you have.
Thanks, Paul.
You have 2, and Roger has 1.
I have 2.
You have 2. Roger has 1, but I think that's all he needs. He's pretty well protected. Yeah.
So I have 2. I have a guardian angel and a spirit guide.
Yeah.
That's awesome to know.
Yeah, they're both standing behind you.
Really?
Let me ask you a question real quick here.
That's amazing.
Vivid dreams.
Dreams.
I have, and I haven't in a little while, but I had a little run through that lasted about a month. Really vivid dreams.
Like Technicolor.
Like in a first-person shooter game, you don't see yourself, but you see where you're going and everything that's around you. And one of them was basically like being in a room in a dark house with a coffee table that's covered with candelabras with a lit incense burner in the center. And like on the far wall, if you look up, there's a balcony and there's 3 doorways, one in the center and one on each end. People were coming out, in and out, mingling in and out of these doors with no faces. And then it goes from that to being outside, like in a wooded area, and pan and zoom type scenario. And it pans like to my left and goes up the hill to a dead tree stump, and the word Mary came out of the air.
Yeah.
I've never figured it out, so just ask us.
3 doors is usually 3 choices, and the people with the no faces are usually people you haven't met yet. And Mary, it could be somebody from one of your relatives that's crossed. There's too many things it could be. It'd have to be. Is that the only time you had the dream, or was it several nights in a row?
That was the only time that I had that particular one.
Okay. Yeah. It would say that to me it would mean that there's choices. You have three different ways you could go, three choices, and you have to make the choices. There's nobody that's going to help you to make those choices.
Right. And
My husband had something like that. He was, my husband's one of these people. If you can't touch it, feel it, or see it, it don't exist.
right.
Married to me, he's seen a few things, but he had this dream. 3 nights in a row, exactly the same, never different. And he was on board the Arizona, and he was down below in the rec room, and he was walking through water like you walk through air. And the big topic of conversation was, why don't they come for us? Because they entombed those men down there. And then the next thing he knows, he's up on board the monument. He's running his finger down to find his name. When he finds his name, he wakes up. It's the same every time. And he always had a lot of anxiety around Pearl Harbor Day. So he said, get me the names of the people that died on the Arizona, the men. So I got him a printout. There was like 18 pages. And he got to page 13 and he says, this is it. This is who I was.
Wow.
The name on it was Raymond Arthur Roby.
So that was him in the past life.
Yeah, I named my son after my grandfather, Ray Arthur Palmer.
Oh, wow.
No such thing as coincidence.
Yeah, they say there's no such thing as coincidence. Everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's another dream that it starts out in the daylight. Okay, it's summertime, green leaf trees. You see all the and I'm going down a path. And after I get so far, it's all of a sudden it's night. And there's like an old factory building to my left that's been closed for like eons, except for the very top room at the end. There's lights on, and it's like there's people in there working, but they're not alive.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it goes from that back on the path, back in the daylight, comes out. There's an old clapboard house on the left. There's an old truck and an old rusty car on the right, and it's a real steep hill going down to a dirt road, and that's where that ends at.
Those type of dreams, when you dream like that, when you're asleep, you open yourself up, and some of the times, past lives come forward, and you'll get bits of memory from past lives. That one sounds to me like a past life memory.
Wow.
Can I ask you a question, actually? It won't let me do it. Birthmarks. They say that's how you died in a past life. Is there any truth to that?
Not always. Sometimes it can be, or I have a friend who has had back pain all his life. Low back pain. Just horrible, like right in between where the tailbone and the end of the spine come together, the L spine come together. And he's, always had that pain, just chronic since he was born. He says, I've had it all my life. I'm just, used to it. And I said, well, it's because you were in Rome and you were killed with the spear, and that's where it went.
Wow.
The spear was, and he always has sharp stabbing pains.
Wow. So it's always the last life that follows you the most in your recent life?
No.
Doesn't someone have 800 lives?
People have hundreds of lives. Excuse me, hundreds of lives. He was in Rome, but his last life was not there. His last life, he was a woman in the South, and he was killed protecting his children. So it's like, and then he was also a child in Auschwitz.
Wow.
So it's like, it just depends upon, if you have a life that's uneventful and there's no trauma, the death isn't traumatic, nothing happens, then you don't have any issues. But if you have, like, say your last life, like my husband's, he was killed, traumatically drowned on the Arizona. All his life he's had an absolute fear of drowning and never had even a slip in the bathroom.
So that's another thing. Your fears also are a past life, because
Yes,
I fear drowning. I fear drowning, and I fear fire. I fear not breathing. You know what I
I
mean?
have this fear of turning fast moving water like a river or
I get
uh,
nervous in the water.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's from past life.
That's
If the
amazing.
death is traumatic, it'll do that. You know, I I can't stand anything around my throat because in my very last lifetime in the 40s, I was strangled to death.
Wow.
So it's like I can't stand anything. I can wear a necklace, but I can't wear like a turtleneck or a
You
scarf
can't.
around there.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. That's just
Okay.
amazing how you just knowingly know it, like all. You know what I mean? That's so fascinating to me.
Well, the
We
thing is like Michael told me, you can do more, you know, because I do a lot of different things. And when I was young, Michael would tell me, you don't know everything you can do until you try. He says you need to try to see, at least try a couple times and see if you can do it. If you can't, that's fine. But if you can, think about the door that will open for you.
Wow.
So I've never been afraid to try. Like it's only been like 20 years since I've been doing psychometry. And the first time I got a picture was not a good experience because the person that was in the picture had a negative attachment. So it's like, oh, okay, I don't like that one.
we are Half Past Dead Paranormal Radio coming to you live on YouTube live events with your host Roger Belt and my charming partner Miss Christina Corsetti and our
Thank you.
lovely guest Miss June Lundgren. And I was going to ask you a question. Um, are you familiar with the Mayan buildings? You know, the temples, the towns, townships, what do you want to call them?
Yeah, yeah,
City
yeah.
blocks. You know, they had their city laid out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, there's one particular site that has a tower that comes up, a square tower that comes up. Have you seen
Uh-huh.
it?
Yeah, I've seen it. I watched it on like one of the National Geographic shows.
Okay. The first time I looked at that picture, I was not looking at the tower, I was looking out of the tower.
Out of the tower. Yep.
What does that mean?
That means you were there in a
That's
past
what
life.
I thought. That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
you were there in a past life.
I mean, it freaked me out, you know, because I looked at the picture and it's like I was just absorbed into it, and now I'm looking out of it.
Like a
Yes.
third person? Like
Yeah,
third
it's like
person?
somebody with amnesia where it triggers and you're like, oh yeah, you know, same
Wow.
type. I'm actually starting. I got about a quarter of it done. A book on past lives. So it's people have been asking me to do it. So I have like 3 books going at the same time. So it's never enough hours.
You probably need to slow down. You're going to run yourself into a tizzy over there.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking to retire one of these days from work outside of the home anyway.
So they say we choose our parents. Do we really choose our parents?
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
Then why would we
And
choose to be in a life of suffer or hurt or pain? I'm not talking an entire life. Why would you
be
do that to yourself?
all about because you're on the other side. You don't. None of that equates. You just think, oh well, I've never experienced this before. I would like to have a lifetime where I experience this. Like, say, I want to have cancer, but I want to be cured of the cancer. So, or it was like me. Uh, I grew up after the first 5 years when my grandma had me. My mother came and took me back, and she is bipolar,
Yep.
and she would hit us with baseball bats in her fist and whatever else she could find,
Wow.
whatever was handy. I lived through that until I was 17 and signed myself into the military and left home.
Wow. I have a question for you in chat. Michelle Green wants to know, she says that I suffer from anxiety. Does that come from past lives?
A lot of it does. A lot of it does. I have guided meditations that you can do that actually you go into your book of records and you can pull the book out, look at that lifetime. All you do is, what it is you go into a deep meditation. You create a safety zone for yourself. You create a room with a library in it. And you go in this room and you say, I want to see the lifetime when I was an artist. And so then a book comes out and you open it and you tell yourself, I don't want any pain, suffering, or any negative emotion. I don't want to feel any of that as I review this. And then it's like reading somebody else's, life story or whatever.
Wow.
And you can help. That will help you a lot of times to release the negativity or release the anxiety. You can see where it comes from, and you can say, "Oh, I do not wish to have that anymore. I want to release it." And it doesn't work on the first try, but it does. If you keep at it, it will work, and you'll be able to let go of that.
Interesting.
Very, very. I'm trying to think. I got so much in my head.
I'm actually thinking about putting those guided meditations on my website so people can just download them and
That'd be
do them.
great.
It'll just be the document, and then I recommend a CD called Dreamcatcher. It was created by the Monroe Institute, and it is a relaxation CD, and it's just got like Indian woodwinds and birds and babbling brooks, that sort of thing. It's very, very relaxing. It will help you get, so relaxed that you open up and you can do the meditation.
When I try to meditate and I get really relaxed, and I'm sure it's because I have a really erratic sleep pattern and I don't sleep much.
Uh-huh.
When I get to that relaxed state to where normal people would be like, doing their meditation thing, I'm doing my snoring thing. It's hard for me to say it really is.
Well, this meditation only takes about 10 minutes, which is nice because it's a quick thing. And
Right.
once you've done it a couple times, it's just once you've done it a couple times, it's just easy, really quick. But before anybody does any meditation, they need to make sure that they surround themselves with the white light for protection, because good ones can come in, but so can the negatives, because what it does is it opens up a doorway, and you need to be protected.
Okay. I gotta go on your website. I have a lot to learn. I'm so excited. You excite me. You know what I mean? You bring that out of me. You just bring it out of me.
Yeah, this is from a person that was in high school. I was voted the quietest and shyest. 500 people. I don't know what happened after
They
that.
say those are the best kind, though.
Yeah, life is worth living and worth experiencing. I know at my younger years, I did everything from skydiving to, rock climbing to, I wanted to experience everything. I wanted to go, except drugs. I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. I'm allergic to alcohol, rubbing, or drinking, so I don't drink, and I don't believe in drugs. You can open your mind more if you're just meditating. The heck with the drugs.
So, what would you say was your most, I don't know whether I want to use the word exciting here or scary paranormal event?
Probably the first old demon I had to deal with. It was, every now and then you hear about places that the land is like cursed or something. There's all these bad things happen on it, and I think there's a prison in Arizona like that where it's just like one negative thing after another, and the whole everybody says the land's no good, it's cursed or whatever. And so I told my friend, I said, I'd like to get to one of those places where that happens, because I want to find out why. So, of course, I get this call from another paranormal group, and they say, we have this guy, and we can't do anything for him, and it's too negative, we can't deal with it. So I went over to see the guy, and before I even got there, I knew there was an old demon there. And it tried to push me and the other two people that were with me down the stairs, and the usual stuff, and calling me everything but a white woman. So there you go. And so I got upstairs and got it cornered, and Michael was with me and Gabriel. And so they were on each side of it, and I asked it. I said, I command you to tell me why you're here, because it was in the ground. It came from the ground. I said, why are you here? And of course, it wasn't going to tell me. And then Michael made it tell me. He said that he had gone against Lucifer, and Lucifer had cast him into the ground, into a pit, so that he had, and then sealed it, so that he stayed there. He'd been there a long, long time. He says, anybody that goes against Lucifer, that's what ends up happening. So he was put down there, and then man came along, started building and breaking up the land and stuff like that. Well, this was like the perfect storm. There was this old demon there. Then there was the Indians that belonged to the forest there. They were trying to protect the family inside the house. And then there was a portal in the backyard. And there was what I call an elemental, but I guess they don't call him that in England. But it looked like a little gnome guy. He's a woodland one.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was like the perfect storm. So I got rid of everything, but it's like, come on, guys, you can't stay here. You need to go. Elemental wanted to stay. He was curious. But so, that's what I found out, that's the reason where the land goes, ends up being like that, is because there's one of those down there. And I think they should stay down there.
Just curious how a portal got open in the backyard.
Portals. This was a white light portal. There are different kinds. There's dark portals, which allow negatives to come and go. And the white portal allows souls to cross and come and go in visitation.
Yeah.
Well, it was that he had an old shed, and I told him, I said, you have a portal over here. I said, that's why you have so much activity. And he's like, what? I said, come over here and put your hand on this. Him and the other guy that was with me, they put their hand on it. They could feel the vibrations coming off of it. And I told him, I said, that's a portal. I said, I just need to close it. I said, once I close it, then things will settle down now. But they're naturally occurring. They're all over the place. Just, it's like an exit door or a bus stop. like ley lines. Downtown Portland has horrible ley lines, and they can be used. It's like a superhighway. They can be used for good and bad. But the Romans knew about ley lines. They put all their roads, traced all the roads on the ley lines, and then the intersecting points like Stonehenge, where a bunch of them come together, places of power.
I have a question here from Angela in chat. Does black salt really work? I've never heard of black salt. What is that?
That's what she was talking about earlier.
Okay, forgive me if I'm slow, but...
Okay, so normal black salt is just salt and charcoal mixed together.
Okay.
And salt alone will protect you to a certain extent. It's a purification thing. But my black salt is, like I said, specially made. It's got sandalwood in it, which is what they burn in exorcisms. It's got charcoal in it. It's got Dead Sea salt that is unrefined, and it's got white sage and sweetgrass. And everything is soaked in holy water and left in the sun to dry. And I ask for God's blessing on each individual, as I put it together, each section that I do. And if it protects against demons, it'll protect against anything.
Right.
No demons have gotten through so far.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Paul says they used to build churches on ley lines.
Yes, because there are places of power.
Yeah, and I knew that the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Incas, they all did that.
Yeah, see, they knew them too.
So you had to have somebody from all those different cultures, and that's why I guess they were the medicine men, witch doctors, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah,
because they could feel those lines. They could feel that energy.
Yeah,
So
they could feel the energy. Yep.
they knew
They,
where to build their cities at and stuff.
yeah, they would find intersecting ley lines because it's
Yeah,
the place
yeah,
of most
exactly.
power, and put them together there. But there's, but they also, you have problems with a lot of ghosts and stuff like that. A lot of paranormal activity, but they never paid no attention to it back then.
Angela says, how would you go about if you want to keep loved ones watching over to stay when the house gets blessed and cleansed? In other words, if you want to get rid of any negative, bad things in your house, but you wanted any loved ones who were watching over you there to stay.
Oh, you just give them permission. Really, that's all you have to do. When you cleanse a house, you ask that anything negative be released from the house.
Yes.
Your grandmother is not negative, obviously. She's positive, so she can remain. It's not a problem. It's only when you cleanse a house, you only want the negatives to be released,
Yeah.
not the positives. The protectors stay. Unless they're annoying you. If they're a mother-in-law and they're annoying you, then hit the pavement, man.
Or father-in-law.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, either one.
Or just
Sister.
an aggravating relative.
Yeah, I was going to say, any aggravating relative, just tell them hit the bricks.
Excuse me. I don't know about you guys, but
I'm having a great time.
I think Miss June is just awesome. So
I'm having a
we're
good time. That's the way I like it. It's fun.
going to see how much further into all this stuff we can get because it's interesting. Ley lines, churches, ancient temples. Now, they built these temples on these ley lines because of the energy, of course.
Right.
So, is there anything really to the bloodletting rituals that they did?
No.
Just, or is that just something that they came up with because they thought it's what the gods wanted?
Right. Exactly. It was a case of, oh well, maybe if we give a human sacrifice or a cow or whatever, that would be good. But really, there's nothing to it. Ley
Okay.
lines are pure energy. They can be they can be harnessed for good and they can be harnessed for bad.
Right. I mean, because in the Bible, in the Old Testament, you were supposed to sacrifice
Ram.
lambs and all this stuff. So, I mean, every culture, I guess, had some form of sacrifice.
Yeah, but you have to think about it. In those days, it was black is black and white is white. There is no shades of gray. They feel that, God gives life, so they're going to, sacrifice this animal so that, that life is returned.
Okay.
I just
So, why would they have not sacrificed a deer or a buffalo or uh, whatever, anything besides a human being?
because a human life, they felt that a human life was, it has a better price, so to speak. Its worthiness is
Okay.
greater than the animal.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And it didn't matter who the human life was. It could be one of their
Nah,
enemies. It could
they
be
weren't
one of their
particular.
own, you know.
Yeah, although it had to be, evidently with the Aztecs and the Mayans, it had to be somebody that was, really important or very devout or whatever.
Y'all, pardon me, I had to hack up alone. But anyway, So you got your sacrifices, you got your energy lines, and they had like certain priests that I guess would tell them when to plant, when to do this, when to do that. They watched the stars,
Right.
and for the patterns to change and all that stuff, and that's how they knew
Winter,
uh,
summer, this, yeah.
when to plant their crops, when to harvest. And if the harvest was bad,
Uh-huh.
let's yank out some poor fool's heart.
Yep. Oh, it wasn't good enough. We weren't good enough.
Yeah, we must have done something bad, so we gotta take Princess what's her face over here and yank her heart out.
Yep. Yep.
And that'll
Well,
make them happy, and we'll have a good crop.
while it's still beating,
Yeah,
it's still beating. No.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
It's
saw a
crazy.
movie one time, and of course it's fictional, but it shows them doing the sacrifice, and the priest or whatever, he sticks his hand in there, yanks out the heart, holds it up to show everybody it's still beating, and takes a big bite.
Disgusting.
So, June, Mary Strickland has a question in chat. Her question is, what does June think that drawing paranormal activity here in our village?
It depends. I would have to, if I had a picture of the village, or I could tune in on it. But as it is, I don't know where. If I know where it is,
Hey,
and I had a
man.
picture, I could
Yeah,
do
Matt,
that.
you want to let us know where your village is?
What's that?
I was asking Meg in chat if she would type in the location of her village, where it is.
Yeah, that would help.
Yeah, maybe that would help.
Don't go to Kansas, man. I grew up there. It's like there's a lot of paranormal activity there. Atchison, Kansas.
Kansas.
Yeah, Atchison.
Orient, Ohio.
Seems like there's quite a bit in Pennsylvania, too.
Would you need more of a location?
Yeah, I need like a picture or something.
Oh, okay.
Tell her to go to my
Orient,
website
Ohio.
and send me an email with the picture, and I can zero in on it.
Orient, Ohio.
I have no clue where that is.
I
Tell her
don't.
send me a picture.
Um.
Trying to think, I get so many questions, I don't even know where to begin.
Anyway, carrying on right along. So have you ever been to any of those places,
I've
like the
actually,
Mayan villages or the
no,
Mayan ancient
I'd
villages?
like to go. I'm going to Alcatraz in July
Oh,
to
that's
remove
awesome.
demons. They're getting a little too ugly back down there, so I decided that it's time to go visit Alcatraz.
Alcatraz.
Yeah, yeah. It sounded interesting, and then a friend of mine was down there once, and he's a medium, and he said somebody volunteered him to lock him in, jail cell number 14, and he said he got in there and he turned around and he heard a growl and saw a pair of red eyes. And he said he got the heck out of there.
I bet.
Yeah, I said, yeah, there's several of them.
What about Eastern State?
Yeah, there's a lot of them there. There's a lot of them. See, that's the thing. If I have a picture, I can connect, and I know what's there. And there's, several demons there. And the place in Arizona that has, like, the cursed land, it has an old, I can't remember the name, but it was an old penitentiary that was used, and it's deserted now. But there's a lot of negative, because there's so much negative energy. in places like this,
Yeah.
this is what you're going to get. The negative energy draws these things in like a moth to a flame.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Okay, Michelle wants to know, do you want a map pic or like a real pic of the village?
Just a pic of the village. Tell her to send it to me.
Send a pic of the village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You tell her, Roger.
Once I get oriented, and once I see it, then I make the connection.
Gotcha. Oh, that's awesome.
Sorry.net. Oh. Queens, there's Bloody Rock. What? Nicholas, you're off the chart there, buddy.
There are some strange people out there. But I'm not exactly normal either. My son asked me one day, he says, Mom, are you the only normal person in your family? Because my brothers are all bipolar. And I'm like,
I'm
yeah, if you
bipolar.
count dead people normal, yeah, I'm good.
I was called normal once. Pissed me off.
I don't mind being abnormal. You know, my son worries. He's like, Mom, people out there are crazy, and I don't want anything to happen to you. I said, Ray, nothing's going to happen to me. I know when I'm dying, so don't worry about it.
Now that must be. Is that weird to know? Is that
No,
no?
I asked for it. I said, show me my death. And I'm going to be like 93 years old. I'm going to go to bed, and I'm not going to get up again.
Oh, that's a
I'm
good
good
way
with
to
that.
go. You can live with
Yeah,
that. That's nice.
of course, my son don't want to hear that, but I got a ways to go.
Yeah. Angela said normal people scare her. She said, I'm joking.
Well, in chat, anyone in chat, if you wanted to know when you die, would you want to? I'm just curious if people would want to know when they're going to die, or if they wouldn't want to know.
If
I don't think I'd want to know.
when and how you were going to die, would you want to know? No, I would not.
No, I don't think I would either. But if you had the opportunity
Yeah.
to know, would you
Most
want
people
to
don't.
know?
Yeah, most people don't want to know, and that's fine because I don't want to tell them.
Not to
So
blame
the
you.
only time I do something like that is if I'm given the message and it's for them to be able to repair their relationship or spend that time with the person.
Nicholas said he would like to know. I would not want to know.
No, I don't think I'd want to know either.
Yeah.
Because I think you'd have that mindset, and and you would always know, and then you would always wonder, and then you could change your life that way though.
Now,
Yeah. Exit points are always set. You can't cheat them. It's not like heaven can wait.
So there's no accident that wasn't supposed to happen.
No,
if you could change it by knowing,
you can't.
would you?
No, not
Really?
me. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't care. I've been dead once. It doesn't bother me. I died in a motorcycle accident. Or clinically dead for 2 minutes. Crossed over, visited my grandma and grandpa, and relived all my lives. Put back to the core soul, who your soul belongs to. You have a core soul.
I have a question, June. I've always wondered, and I've always been, and I believe it. I believe that not everybody sees the light, the tunnel, the light. I don't know. I always thought that you would, when you pass on, you just see yourself, your body, and you just walk the earth like you would alive. You on the same street, you're just right there, and then you're just in the spirit world, but you just walk the streets that you were just once living on. Is that not how it is? Or
No,
not everyone sees the light, right?
not everybody sees the light. There's people that, in fact, I ran into a guy when I was in La Grande, Oregon. A friend of mine says, I was going up to visit her, and she says, I have a friend who's having a problem in her house. I'm like, fine. So I get there, and it's like the minute I hit the car park thing, it's like I knew there was a spirit inside. So I go directly in and go to the chair, and he's sitting in, and talk to him. And I said, what are you still doing here? I said, you've been dead for a while. And he says, I don't know. He said, what happened to me? He said, one minute I'm sitting in my chair, his recliner, and he had a chest pain. And he said, and then everything went black. And he said, and then the next thing I know, I'm awake. I wake up, and I see my son and daughter-in-law talking about renting the house or selling the house. I'm trying to talk to them, and they don't hear me. They don't see me. He said, what happened to me? I said, what happened was, I said, you went into the equivalent of shock. Everything went black, like a person when they pass out, go into shock, everything, they pass out. Same type of thing, I told him. I said, and you didn't see your body, so you thought you were still alive for the longest time until you couldn't talk to your son and daughter-in-law. I said, then you kind of figured that's what must be going on. And he's like, well, this is my house, and I'm not going to leave. And I said, well, what about the ladies I guess there had been a lot of renters that left in a hurry. And the last two were a couple of women that he really liked them because they were taking care of his house and his yard and everything. And I told him, I said, you really have to go because, you're pacing up and down the halls, you're driving people crazy, you're moving things. And he says, but I don't want to go. I said, well, what about your wife and your mom and dad? Oh, they died. I said, think about them. If you think about them, close your eyes, think about them, and open your eyes, and you'll see them in the light. He says, there's my mom and dad. I'm like, yeah. I said, you want to be with them, don't you? And he's like, yeah. I said, well, go for it, man. Run, do not walk. And he was gone. But sometimes it happens.
Just need that help seeing.
Yeah. If you have them picture a loved one, make that connection, it helps.
So when you are more confused, you're in that realm versus going through the light and going where you're supposed to go?
Yeah, if you stay earthbound and you don't cross over.
That's when you walk the streets?
Right. Then you have the same mentality that you had in life. You don't grow and everything stays the same. And, if you were nasty in life, you're going to be nasty in death.
Right.
And, some people don't want to cross because, power or money. And others are afraid to cross because they've sinned and they figure that they'll never, God will never forgive them. Like people that, it used to be when I was growing up, if you committed suicide, oh my God, you were just like condemning your soul to hell.
Well, I wanted to ask you that about suicide.
That's what they teach you in the churches. And my grandmother says, that's not how it is. She said, it's not that way. What kind of loving and nurturing God would throw you into hell because you were in too much pain to live, whether it be physical, mental, emotional. I mean, really, stop and think about it. And he says, I don't do that. He says, I do not do that. He says, if the person seeks to remain in the earthbound plane, that's their choice. He said, but I will not condemn them. If they've done something...
We go by the commandment, thou shalt not kill.
Right. If you've done something, like kill or something like that, take another life, then you cross over, you're going to answer for it. But Absolutely. It's not going to, it's not an automatic throw you in hell. You have to answer for everything. You will be judged.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what people are afraid of, because they're going to be judged.
Well,
if you
there's a case
ascended,
also, there's a case also where that I watched videos and I've read about this. Oh heck, I can't think of the name of the place off the top of my head. It's one of those mansions that is supposed to be haunted. The son had passed, but he didn't want to cross over because his dad was a tyrant, and he didn't want to go over there and face him.
Yeah.
So I would assume that's probably a case a lot of times too,
Yeah.
is that you don't want to cross over there because maybe your parents or your somebody that you're related to was a real crapwad in life, and you don't want to go over there and have to deal with them in death.
Because when they think like that, it's because they're still caught in the physical world mentality. They're still thinking like a physical being instead of once you cross. I mean, when I died, it's like being, you know, a loving thing. It's like, it's like you're never alone. You're an individual, but you're never alone, and it feels so good and loving that it's hard to explain it. It's like great because you feel that connection to God even more once you cross. It's like being wrapped in cotton wool and
Well, they
protect.
say you're. Yep, go ahead.
It's
Sorry.
a good
Well,
feeling.
what you said earlier about, if you're a butthole in life, you're going to be a butthole in death.
Yeah,
Okay, and
you stay earthbound anyway.
somebody doesn't want to go over there and put up with the butthole in death that was a butthole to them in life. You know what I mean? I mean, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that, but see what they don't realize is, like I said, because you're thinking like a human, a mortal, you don't understand that once you cross, you let go of all that, and you have to answer for it when you ascend completely. You have to answer for it. I mean, you're not. They're not going to be able to do that to you on the other side.
So you go in front of the Book of Life.
Yeah,
The Book of Life
basically.
is,
Yeah.
and when
First,
you go through the Book of Life,
you go into what I call the. You remember those old game shows where they put you in an isolation booth and you can't hear anything,
yeah,
but you can see everything going on, but you can't hear anything. That's what
yeah,
I liken these things to. Michael says that they're kind of like isolation booths, and people are put in there, and they have to learn lessons, and they have to stay in there until they've repented for whatever they did, and change their ways. And the archangels check on them periodically. He says he has one guy that's been in there for 800 years.
wow,
Still has more.
interesting. So, but don't they show you in the Book of Life? Don't they show you what could have been, what could have been if you took this road, but you took this road, and stuff like that? Don't they go through every aspect of your life in this Book of Life process?
Some people call it the book of life. What it is when when you cross completely, when I died and crossed, I relived all my lives through not only my point of view, but everybody else around me's point of view. I saw how it looked from their point of view, how I treated them, everything. You're just, shoulda, woulda, coulda doesn't cut it with that. It's a matter
Okay.
of, you know, I'm looking at it from, I did terrible things to that person, or I
You feel their
shouldn't have cut
pain.
off that person, that sort of thing. Your mom, your brothers, your sisters, your spouse, whatever. And so you relive all your lives from all the different angles, from everybody's point of view, and then that's how you learn, because
Okay.
you do how your actions affect other people.
There's a question in the chat, and I'm not sure how I want to take this question.
Uh oh.
Uh, Nicholas Analek asked if you could name one of his dead dogs.
Not unless I get a picture. Not unless I get a picture of him, then I can connect with the dog.
Yeah,
Okay.
she has to go by pictures.
Yeah,
Like I
but
said,
if I
I'm
have
not
a
sure
picture, I can make the connection and take.
I'll take that one. Uh,
Can I ask you a question? Is
Yeah,
purgatory, which I believe is a religious word,
yeah.
would that be limbo, so to speak, as earthbound?
No, that would be hell. Purgatory is hell, plain and simple.
Purgatory is okay.
When I died, I was up there, And this angel named Michael, not the same one, not the archangel, he took me by the hand and showed me this, like suddenly a bay window appeared. And he said to look down. I looked down and I saw every human being in the world, and these had these very thin strings coming from them, from the top of their head. Some of the strings were lit up, and some of them weren't. And he says, "You see those strings that are lit up?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Those are people that have made the soul connection, the connection to their soul and the God consciousness." He said, "The ones that aren't lit up have yet to make that connection." And I said, "Well, if heaven exists," I said, "what about hell?" So he took me by the hand, and we walked a couple steps, and he waved his arm over what I call a floor, a clouded floor, and it opened up, and there's this huge pit. Horrible screams were coming out of it, and you could see things trying to reach up to get out. And so he waved his arm again, and it closed. I said, "Okay, hell exists too." I get it.
Yeah. Well, obviously,
You know,
if there's a heaven, there has to be a hell.
yeah, there's always good and bad opposites. But it's like, you hear all your life, you're raised, you think, and you're going to go to hell, if you do this or whatever. So you think, is there really hell, or are they just trying to scare the living tar out of us, But
Okay, I have another question for you in chat. Michelle Green wants to know if when you pass, you see your life from every point of view. Does that mean you become a better person in the next life?
Yes. You review it, you see what your actions did to that other person or didn't do that for that other person. And so you learn from it and grow, and you take that, if you come back again, you take that into your next lifetime. It's all about learning. My son asked me one time, he said, "Mom, I bet you know what the secret of life is." And I said, "Well, actually, yes." I said, "It's experience. It's all about the experience. That's the only reason we come back down, is to, experience new things. Being a mom, being a dad, being, being a sailor, whatever."
I always entertained the idea that we had a certain amount of knowledge we had to gain and learn in each life, and that's why we keep coming back, because we haven't learned or gained all the knowledge that we're supposed to.
Yeah, knowledge is another word for experience. That's why we keep coming back, is we haven't experienced everything yet. It's like,
is that our goal, to experience everything?
Yes, our goal is to experience everything that can be experienced, whether it be good or bad. We learned that if we're an asshole in that lifetime, well, then we die. It's like, oh, well, I don't like that. I didn't like the way I was in that lifetime, so I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to change my ways and not be that way.
But there's always a lesson to be learned, or else we'd be like perfect people.
Yes, it is. It's never ending. It's whether it's a lesson of learning how to be, learning not to be selfish, learning how to give to others, learning, you get the son you need. With my son, it was all about learning patience. I had to learn how to have patience. I was 30 when my son was born. I was like, if you don't have patience by then, you're never going to. But it's like the minute he was born, I had infinite patience. Before that, forget it, no patience. And for my son, for my husband, it was to experience, having a child. My husband was 45 when my son was born. And he had never been around kids. So he hadn't a clue. He thinks a kid's going to come out of the womb walking and talking. I told him, I said, that don't happen. What planet are you from? But he had never had any experience with children. So he was adopted, and his adopted mother's daughter was like 20 years older than him. So she was like long gone. So he had no clue, no experience.
Okay. Angela says, my daughter's here. I have to go. I have to go. God bless everybody. Okay, Angela, come back
Bye,
to us
Angela.
next time.
So I always had this idea that going back to suicide, if you were to commit such an act, you would come back in your next life even worse with the same problems to overcome the same thing.
Oh, you're looking at karma. A lot of people think about karma. It's like, oh, you died in this lifetime. There are instances when people haven't learned their lesson, but
They
it's
could,
not about suicide. Yeah, it's about like, say, in your one life, you're a spendthrift. You're always blowing money, and it leads you to a debtor's prison. Back in the day.
mhm.
And then your next lifetime, you're doing the same thing all over again. You're spending, 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 and you still haven't learned. And you get in trouble and you die. And then you come back the third time and you say, this time, forget it. I'm not going to do that anymore. I am going to be a thrifty person. I am not going to blow my money. And you finally come to terms with that karma or that situation.
Okay, if you died in a depression, of course, during the depression, everybody lost
Oh, yeah. Yep.
all
Orders.
their money, their stocks, or whatever. So if you died during the depression, it would make sense to me that if you were going to come back, you would come back thinking a whole lot wiser about what you were investing in, or whether or not you wanted to invest your money or stuff in the mattress. You know what I mean?
Actually, some people that live through that depression come back as hoarders.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I've ran into a few. Yes, they come back as hoarders.
So they think if
Because
they hoard
nothing.
objects, that's going to
Yeah,
be
they
like,
had nothing. They lost it all, so they want to hoard.
A human can't come back as an animal. It has to be of the same nature, right?
I was hoping for something better. I'd like my mother to come back as a hairless chihuahua, but probably won't happen.
or what kind
Can
of
you
cat?
can you cross like that?
You can come back. According to Michael, it has happened where people have wanted to become, a dog or a cat or whatever. And it does happen. It's not very frequent because, animals have such a good life, they don't care. They're not coming back as a human, taking all that baggage.
So you say they have to
99.9%.
swap?
Yeah, 99.9% of negative energy comes from humans.
No, I mean,
1% comes from anything else.
are you saying that the animal and the human would have to swap places?
No, no.
Or
You
you
could
come
just come back
an
as
animal?
an animal for a very short, they have short lifespans. So, come back as a cow or a chicken or something.
I'm not
That's
coming
fine.
back as a cow. Ain't nobody eating me.
No, you got to go to India, where they're revered.
So that must be a lesson to be learned if I come back as a cow to get eaten.
Yeah,
That's a lesson to be learned.
yeah, and because they're so, their life is so simple. There's no baggage.
Wouldn't
Well,
anyone want to come back as an animal because of the fact that life is so painful and hurtful?
you walk
I don't
around,
know.
you eat grass, and you crap, and you pee.
Yeah. Hey,
And
what the
at
heck?
some point in time, when you get enough fat on your body, they slaughter you and eat you.
Hey, now. I had cows.
But
My,
okay, I have a question. I
my
have a question.
cows died of old age.
June, when you reincarnate and you come back, you can't come back generations ago. It always has to be forward in
Yes.
technology, correct?
You can't go backwards. Yeah, you can't go
You
backwards.
can go backwards. I have always said that.
Cannot go backwards.
Oh, I didn't think so. Okay, but I always said that I was in the wrong generation. I always feel that I'm not in the right generation where I am now, which means that I have a
Past
connection
life.
to past life.
Past life, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is. If you feel out of place, like you don't belong here, or you belong to a simpler time, that's because it's a past life.
So the next time you come back, it'd be in the future, and then it would be different because our world changes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I help people uh, learn how to help themselves by putting their past lives back where they belong. Sometimes you'll get a past life that will try to take over the current lifetime. It's like, Three Faces of Eve. You know, if those people just understood that these are past lives that are coming forward on this woman.
But
Okay.
I thought you have to make a deal that you can't remember your past life when you go into a life.
No, that's not true.
Okay, okay then.
You hear about children who have knowledge beyond their years,
Yes.
that have actual they can tell you like what plane they drove when they were flying when they crashed, and that they crashed, and this was my name, and all that stuff. So it just depends if the death was like recent. Like my husband dying in 1941, and he was born in 1945.
Oh wow.
So that's like really recent. That's why he had absolute fear of drowning.
Now, Mary Strickland has a great point in chat. She says she wants to go someplace else other than Earth. Are you able to go to other planets?
We did before. We did. You can astroplane and go, but the physical body can't go. But you can astroplane and do that. But before we even came to Earth, we had a physical body like eons ago, and we slowly evolved into pure energy, and then we traveled the galaxies, and we explored, and we did that for eons, and then we decided, we were sick and tired of that. We wanted to have children. We wanted to feel physical love, all that sort of stuff, and there arose a division between, the souls. And that's what caused the quote-unquote war between heaven and hell. There was a division. There were the group that did not want to have anything to do with it. Like, you know what? I don't want to be confined to a body. I don't want to feel pain. I don't want to have a short lifetime. I don't want to be miserable. So we don't want to do it. So that's what arose the division. And when the fight ended, God told them, I'm going to give you exactly what you want. You're never going to be able to have a physical body again. And they're like, yeah, we're good with that. We don't want it anyway. But I'm going to cast you into darkness.
Oh wow.
And they were okay at first, but over the centuries, the hatred, living in the dark, it just, it made them so that they want to, do everything they can to destroy mankind. They've grown so much
So
hate.
if we were pure energy and we went exploring galaxies and everywhere and did all this stuff, and then there's the uprising and all this stuff, and God says, okay, you won't never have a body, but I'm going to put you in a place down below the ground. Why would why would he do that? Why would they not still be free to explore galaxies and travel around and do all that stuff? Why did they have to go?
Because he knew, when we first left the other planets, when we first evolved, we had everybody stayed there as a group to make sure that nobody got left behind. Because even in that lifetime, there were troublemakers. I mean, you're going to have them wherever you go. So we had to wait, make sure everybody evolved and everybody traveled as one unit to make sure that they didn't cause problems. If they wander off, cause problems in the, wherever they went. It was a big thing that everybody stayed together. So that's what they did. And so the reason he separated them was because he knew that they would start to cause problems. And he was right. They did start to cause trouble. And they're still causing trouble. So that's what happened there.
Okay, just things like that raise questions. You're curious about, and I personally have said this before that we will become pure energy again
Yeah, we will.
at some point,
Yep.
and you know be free to go wherever we choose and see what we can see and explore other places. And I think that's where eventually we are headed.
Yeah, yeah, we're headed. We're still evolving. Eventually we'll do it again. We'll evolve into pure energy again, and we'll go all over, go where we want to go, and we won't worry about it. So it's just a matter of history repeating itself, so to speak. It'll happen
Okay,
again.
so and if that's the case, and that would be awesome to be able to do that. But
I know.
if that was the case, what about now when a person passes from this life? Does their soul become that pure energy again?
Yes, yes. That's why people amaze me when they say, those that orbs are not ghosts or whatever. Orbs are the low-level manifestation of the pure energy of our souls. It's not that it's a ghost. It's the pure energy of our souls.
Okay, see, because I'm a non-orb person. I don't believe in orbs. I don't just um,
Yeah, I talk to them, so Michael doesn't like that.
I have an orb philosophy, and I don't mind telling everybody how I see it. When an orb floats up to me and says, "Hey, Raj, I'm an entity," then I'll buy it. But till
You
that
do that to
happens,
me all the time. What's wrong with you?
it's dust, bugs, and
I
moisture.
have to send you. I have to send you a video. I was removing a demon from a house, and Michael and Gabe were with me, and I'll send it to you. You'll get a kick out of it because it's like millions of them coming out at the same time. Big blue ones are Michael and Gabe.
But I'm one of these people that believes everybody has their right to think how they want, believe how they want. If you believe in orbs, that's fine. You know, if
Yeah.
Joe Blow over here believes in orbs, that's fine. Just because I don't doesn't mean I condemn anybody that does.
Yeah, it's like, the thing is, it's like people. I had a guy go with me, and he wanted to help me. He wanted to see what it was like to remove a demon. And I said, "Well, you want to see it?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "There's two big ones standing over there." So I had him hold my hand, see, and he actually saw what I saw. And he says, "I can hear him saying something." He says, "But I can't figure out." He says, "I don't understand the language." He says, "But I'm just like I understand the intention, but I don't understand what they're saying." I said, "They're speaking Aramaic." I said, "That's why you don't understand." And he said, and he let go of my hand because he didn't want to see it anymore. It's if I could, that's the trouble. If I could hold people's hand, let them see what I see, the way I see it, that's I can do that with my son. He can see what I see, and I could vice versa with him. But that's because our bond is really close. But yeah, I've been able to do that with a couple of people. So see things they don't want to see, but
Well, folks, we've got about 3 minutes left. I have had a wonderful time. Thank you so much, June. You've been
yeah,
awesome.
thanks for having me.
You
Oh,
have
you've been absolutely wonderful.
I had a great
uh,
time.
while we have time, you can tell everybody where they can go to get your book one
You
more
can
time.
for paranormal encounters books, you can go to Amazon.com or Smashwords.com. For my book, A Medium's Guide to the Paranormal or the Dark Side of the Paranormal, just go to my website, www.mysticconnections.org, and you can order the book through there. You can get a brief outline of what the book's about. The Dark Side of the Paranormal talks about demons and their weaknesses, their fears, their abilities, and their attributes.
Uh,
Awesome. And in a couple of weeks or a week and a half, I also have you on my show on Beyond the Grave Radio, so make sure you
Right.
tune in for that. That's on the
Yep.
12th.
Yes, I will be there.
Awesome.
and I will be there, and
Yes, you will.
Mary will
Will.
be there, and Michelle will be there,
And I'll
and
have a bunch of questions because I was not prepared tonight.
Mega
And
Noodle.
I will have so many questions. We will have so much fun in 2 hours.
Okay.
Mary in chat said to thank you that you were awesome and everybody loved you.
Oh, thank you. I love
Yes,
being on the show.
absolutely.
It's a lot of fun sometimes too, and I love the paranormal, so that's my thing anyway. But to get different opinions about things, that's how you learn.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You have to be able to uh, you have to talk to people that have been there that know what's going on.
Yeah, my
And
grandmother's advice to me was always keep an open mind because there's
yes, thank
more
you.
out there than you know about.
I
Without,
had someone tell me one time that if I didn't believe in orbs, I didn't believe in spirits. So I said, no, I disagree with that.
no, it don't make no difference.
I disagree with that, but
Yeah,
uh,
I agree.
you know, because to me, and I have seen spirits before. And when I was 9, I saw my neighbor's mother walk right past me on the sidewalk, was as real as you do.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I know spirits exist. Now orbs, I can't guarantee that one yet, but
Well, orbs is a
and I'm
form of
not
energy.
Yeah, it's just energy.
It's
I'm
energy.
not saying that I'm not open to it. I just have to have that in your face proof. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what my husband said too. As he saw my grandmother walk down the hallway and disappear in the wall.
Okay, we are going to wind this thing down. I want to thank June very much for coming tonight. We had an awesome time. Thank you, Christina, my wonderful partner. She's awesome too, you guys.
Thank you, Roger.
Uh, Mary, Meg, Michelle, Angela, who's already gone, Paul, Nicholas, everybody that was in chat and everything. We appreciate it. A lot of good questions came up in there. And, aw, Mary's going to
Thank
make me
you,
come all
Mary.
red in the face.
Oh, that's very nice. That's very nice of you.
Yeah, it was. Thank you, Mary. You guys are awesome. Mary is our right arm as far as promotion goes. She goes everywhere and promotes us, and I think that's awesome. And Paul is good about promoting too. Paul likes to promote things. We will see you guys. What day are we coming back on? Uh, the ninth.
Christina
The ninth, we will come back, and we are going to be doing Paranormal Graveyard is going to be doing Strange Deaths, and I know you're going to love that. And June, you're welcome to come join us.
sounds
I
interesting.
think it'd be awesome.
Well, thank you, Roger. Everyone, June, have a great night.
You
Good night,
too. Take
everybody.
care, guys.
Good
Great
night.
fun. Good night.